Late April. The birds are singing, the weather turns warm, and 420 comes and goes. But with 420 comes the annual discussion of weed legalization. Legalization is becoming a more and more prevalent policy issue by the day. But what does this entail? How will legalization change America? Are there any other alternative methods to tackle the drug issue? If you find yourself asking these questions, I want you to watch this video to the end to learn about legalization, alternatives, and the pros and cons of each. I would also highly suggest that you read a paper that I wrote about why the marijuana laws need to be changed in the description below so you can best understand this video. But anyways, enough blowing smoke.
Starting with a more hands-off approach, harm reduction is the philosophy where the government refuses to take a moral stance on the issue, but for those that choose to use drugs, policies are put in place to reduce adverse health, social, or economic effects these drugs can have. Harm reduction does not look to reduce drug use, but rather reduce the adverse effects it can have on the people who still choose to use drugs. In terms of marijuana, these programs will mostly be educational, like so. The benefits of this method is that it is generally inexpensive and easy to implement, and is often targeted at specific harms to make the biggest difference possible in the user's health. However, this method has some downfalls. First, this method does nothing to address the illegal drug trade, which would continue to put users at risk as they continue to buy their drugs from criminals. Furthermore, it does nothing to actually change the laws themselves, and thus it does not change the fact that marijuana is still illegal. Thus, racial disparity in drug arrests and overcrowding prisons due to drug arrests will still remain issues. This option has its benefits and can most easily be implemented, but it also leaves numerous aspects of the drug issue unaddressed. A method that is a medium between harm reduction and legalization is the idea that marijuana should be decriminalized. Decriminalization means that being in possession of marijuana, rather than being treated as a misdemeanor, will be treated similar to a traffic violation, in which a ticket and fine are issued. Cities like Philadelphia and Chicago are prime examples of cities where weed is decriminalized. The benefits of this solution is that it greatly reduces the amount of arrests due to marijuana possession. This has a multitude of beneficial consequences, such as lessening the overcrowding in prisons and saving the government millions of dollars that would have been used to enforce marijuana laws. It also helps those who are penalized for drug use, as it not only keeps them out of prison, but also establishes a defined fine system rather than determining fines from court fees. However, like harm reduction, this system fails to address other aspects of the drug issue, as it also does little to reduce the illegal drug trade or decrease racial disparity in the criminal justice system. Furthermore, it could lead to more people being penalized for possessing marijuana, as officers might be more willing to penalize someone if the sanction is reduced. Thus, although decriminalization could solve some of the legal aspects of the drug issue, it still leaves some issues wide open. On the extreme of the drug policy spectrum is full-on legalization of marijuana. It's first important to note how legalization differs from decriminalization. Decriminalization does not make weed legal. Rather, it just lessens the severity of the penalty for those who get caught. Legalization, however, would make weed legal, including the cultivation, transportation, and retailing of the drug. This is the major difference between the two. In terms of implementation, the government would take control of the distribution and regulation of marijuana, much as they would any other legal drug. This would allow for the marijuana to be regulated and safe for use, which is not necessarily true of marijuana bought illegally. The government would also have the ability to tax marijuana sales. Those who wish to buy marijuana legally will have to take classes educating themselves about the risks of marijuana use before they can acquire a permit. This permit would allow them to buy drugs legally, given that they're of age. The benefits of legalization stem from the government's ability to tax marijuana, which would raise lots of revenue for the government to use how they please. Also, the regulation and selling of weed would create many jobs in the economy. As well as these benefits, the benefits of decriminalization also apply here as well. On the other hand, however, marijuana legalization could see increased costs due to emergency room visits, addiction treatment, medical care, etc., that could offset the tax revenue made. Legalized marijuana could also lead to health problems among its users and others, as secondhand smoke could have negative health effects on those who do not smoke. It could also lead to increased teen use, increased rates of addiction, and increase in mental health problems that derive from smoking. It's also important to recognize that although it seems that legalization would abolish the illegal drug trade, this is not necessarily true. If government-taxed weed is too expensive, the illegal market could still find opportunities for profit if they lower their prices below that of legal weed. It's up to you to do additional research and form your own opinion. Thus, although legalization would be the most radical way of tackling the drug issue, it comes with benefits and downfalls that neither of the options have.
And there you have it. Although these three options do not represent all possibilities for marijuana law reform, they do represent the ends of the spectrums as well as a middle ground of sorts. If you found any of these policies to be especially interesting, I encourage you to do more research by clicking the links in the description below. As of April 20th, 2018, a decriminalization bill is currently being voted on in the House, so now is the best time for you to take action. If you want to make a change, contact your representatives via the link in the description below. Thanks for watching.